Alright guys, welcome back, and in this video we'll be doing the authentication contest, like the Auth contest. And this contest will help us to like save the user state, when the user login, the login state, the user state, the user info. We'll be saving it within this context, and we'll be wrapping our whole application with this context. So this will help us to like know when a user is logged in and when to actually display the correct information of the user that logged in. So without wasting much of our time, let's just get started and start building the auth contest and auth provider. Alright, so the first thing we need to do right now is to create our auth provider. So right here in the providers folder, we're going to create our auth provider. We're going to call it auth. Now, the first thing we need to do is to define a state for our auth. So we're going to say type auth state, and this will be our auth state. This will take the is user logged in. This will also take the user's profile. So we're going to say is logged in, and this will be a boolean, and this is just to know if a user is logged in. And we're going to have the user state, and this will be our user auth user. Okay, we don't have a auth user right now, so let's quickly create our authenticated user. Mind you, don't forget that when a user logged in, let's just quickly run our application. When a user is logged in, we need to get those data from the user that is logged in. So let's just leave this for now and just go ahead and let's just leave that for now and just go ahead and create our authenticated user. Okay, so right here in our types, in the types right here, in the type right here, let's just quickly create the auth users type. Okay, so right here we're going to export type, which will be auth user, and this will take some basic information about the user, like the ID, which will be a string, and the name, which will also be a string, and the email, which will also be a string, and the name, I think we've done, and the email, which will also be a string. Okay, now we have our auth user, and right here we can come ahead and use the um, auth user. Okay, so let's come ahead and use the auth user, and this will also be nullable. Okay, so that we can make the user null. Okay, so when in a state or an event that the user is not logged in, we can go ahead and use that. Okay, so we've done that. The next thing we need to do is to define a type for our authentication context, like the type of values that the authentication context will take. So we've defined a type for our authentication state. We also need to define a type for the authentication context. Okay, so if you don't know what context is, this is just React 101. Just go and learn React. So you're going to say type auth context type, and this will take some values, and the first value is logged in, because we need to know if the user is logged in. So this will be a boolean. The next one is we want to have the user, which will be the auth user, and mind you, this will also be nullable. Okay, so after the user, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have a logout function, and this will just be something void or something. And the next one that we can do, let me just increase the font size. And the next one that we can do right now is to have a dispatch method. Okay, dispatch, and this will let us dispatch some of the methods and the functions that we're going to be creating later on. So this will be a type of dispatch, and this will be auth action. Okay, so let's go ahead and create the auth actions now. And the next one is auth success. Okay, so we need to, when a user is logged in successfully, we need to get that user, and this will be auth user, and we need to set that user. So this will be promise, and this will return a void. Okay, so this is what we need to do. So let's go ahead and create our auth user right now. So this is what we need to do. So let's go ahead and create the type for the auth actions. Okay, so this will be auth actions, and this will take some types. So this will be an object, and the type will be this should be a string, login success. Okay, and this will take a type of user, which is auth user. Okay, and the next one is somehow similar, but that one will be for the logout. So this will be log out success. Okay, and this looks good to me. Let's see, seems that we're getting some error. Yeah, okay, so this looks good to me, and yeah, we can now go ahead and create our context. Okay, so let's go ahead and create the context, and to do that is just simple. So we're going to come to export, and this will be constant auth context. This will be our auth context, and this will be create context from React, and we'll give it a type of auth context type, and this will be undefined, and yeah, initializing it will be undefined too. Okay, so this is what we need to do. Now we have our auth context. We can now start with our auth reducer, create a reducer function that let us dispatch these functions that we're going to be creating in our auth provider. So let's go ahead and first of all, let's create our auth reducer. I think that one will be the next thing we need to do, because we need to dispatch those functions. So let's go ahead and create our auth reducer. I'm just going to come here and say constant, and this will be auth reducer. Okay, and this will take a state, and the state will be auth state. And if you are familiar with radius, you know radius very well. This will look out somehow easy for you. If you know radius and you know how to use the reducer function in React, reducer hook in React, then you are good. But if not, you can just follow this video or go learn it. So the actions will be auth actions, and this will return a auth state. Okay, okay. So let's go ahead and have that. So the first thing we need to do right now is to create a switch statement, and this statement will be action dot type, and right here we can say um, the type. Let's give it a case. If the case is login successful, if it's login successful, then we can go ahead and do something. We can return what should we return? We return the user. Okay, we say it's logged in. We set this to true. This should be three dots, and right now we say user equal to action dot user. Okay, and yes, this is it. Because if you notice right here, Because if you notice right here, we're having a type and we have a user. So logout does not should not require a user, should not require a user, and yeah, it shouldn't require a user. This should be logged in success. Yeah. Okay. So the next case is case. Um, Sorry, there is a typo right here. The next one is logout success. Okay, and this will just return like an empty state. Okay, this will just return like an empty state, 1 2 3 state. We spread the state and we say is logged in. This should be false and user is null. Okay, I think that's all, and that's all, and we can just return default right here. We'll just say default, and this should be just return state. Okay, so this is a practical example of um, how radius work and how reducers actually work. So the next thing we want to do right now is to go into the auth provider and create our provider. We can do this on another page, but we only have 32 lines of code right here. I think we can just put it right here. The first thing we want to do is, you know what? And let's just have it right here. Let's just have it right here. So let's go ahead and start creating our auth provider. So let's say constant auth provider, and this we have a type of React dot functional class, and this will take some parameters, and right here we want to disrupt the user, and this should be React dot node uh, React node. Okay, this will be the type, and right here we want to extract the children from that children. Get the spelling correctly. Okay, so the next one we want to do, let's just export this. We want to export that function, and yeah, let's give this a state. So constant, we give this a state, and right here we say state equal to we're going to use the use reducer function from React. So this is how we do it, and this will be the dispatch. So we have access to a state and a dispatch from the use reducer function, use reducer hook. We're going to say React dot use reducer, and right here we pass the auth reducer that we created, and if we need to like make some changes like initializing, now we need to initialize some state within the reducer. So we want to like just give it some default values. So the first one that we want to give it is logged in, and right here we want to check if we have a token um, in our local storage. We have a token, or in our section storage. Remember we created some function earlier in the last videos, some utility function that help us, get all this, get token, we have all these function right here. So we're going to be using them right now, and right here is logged in. We want to give it, say, get token, and this will just help us get the token from there. Okay, and or we want to get token, right here we get the refresh token. Okay, that's one. Number two is we want to get set the user default. The user will be null, and is loading. We don't need, the user will be none. Okay, so we have this right now. Let's just import React. Let's just go ahead and import React. We have the state, we have the dispatch. So let's go ahead and Alright guys, welcome back, and in this video we'll be doing the authentication contest, like the Auth contest. And this contest is help us to go into and this contest will help us to like save the user state, when the user login, the login state, the user state, the user info. We'll be saving it within this context, and we'll be wrapping our whole application with this context. So this will help us to like know when the user is logged in and when to actually display the correct information of the user that logged in. So without wasting much of our time, let's just get started and start building the auth contest and auth provider.